Hello, everybody. I'm not exactly sure. It might be 4:59 or 5 o'clock on the dot. I did not bring my phone with me out here. So, it is Victoria from creativehealingandwellness.com and Become Your Best Self and Transform Your Life. I am coming to you live from my front porch. I wanted to enjoy the rain. I love rain. I'm one of those weird people that love rain and thunderstorms and lightning. It's so dynamic and it's so cleansing. So I decided to come out here with on my front porch, and you see I have my little my Buddha behind me, keep me company. And I had a message that I wanted to touch upon. They had asked about loneliness and how to break free from that. And I started thinking, and I did some research, and I came up with a couple questions that I had for myself and how to get my thoughts together. The first one is what I put up in the description: alone or lonely. They are very, very different. And one of the key things in trying to break free from this, hi Jackie! Oh, thank you. I love my dragonflies behind me. Is being able to recognize what alone is and what lonely is. Alone is a state of being, lonely is an emotion. So that is the biggest distinction between the two. And being in a state of alone or aloneness is not a bad thing. It's actually a very positive thing. So I wanted to bring that up because these two emotions, or these two states, lonely and alone, they get confused a lot. They really get confused a lot. But as I said, they're so completely different. One's a state of being, one is an emotion. And the difference is, well, actually, the one similarity they have is that they can both be changed by choice. Okay? So when we talk loneliness, I mean, we all know what the state of being alone is. I mean, that's kind of a given. But the emotion of loneliness occurs when we feel disconnected from ourselves, and that I'll go into that a little bit more because that's even deeper. It is a feeling of just being disconnected from yourself and from other people, no matter whether you're surrounded by a group or whether you are in a state of aloneness. So one of the things that a lot of people try to do when they feel alone is they try to fill the void by looking outside themselves. They're trying to find the right one. They're trying to find their soulmate. They need a best friend. They need something of that sort to fill the void of loneliness. And I've stated in a lot of videos that when you look outside of yourself to fill voids within yourself, that's not gonna happen. Because even if you find somebody, you're never going to appease the void fully by searching outside of yourself. So I want you to keep that in mind, because if you continually search outside of yourself, then that's a red flag. That's a red flag, and that's something that you might want to think about. I did find a bunch of things online that actually resonated with me quite a bit, and I understand, even in my own life, that certain life events can create the sense of loneliness, whether it's the ending of a relationship, whether it's the loss of a loved one. Death can do this a lot. I know in my life, you know, I used to be surrounded by, and this may sound silly to some, but I used to be surrounded by cats. Okay, I had 8 at one time, and they were all indoor cats. They were always by my side. I know that sounds crazy, and but I had them all from kittens, and I rescued a bunch, and it just happened that way. And it was good because I was the one that had the strength to deal with whatever illnesses they came up against in their lives. But as they started to pass away and transition, I kept feeling, and I don't really feel loneliness that often. I don't really get lonely, but when it comes to my animals, because I consider them my children, because I do not have children, exactly, Jackie, you have to fill yourself with love for yourself. But when I was going through this situation with having all of these animals, kind of, my husband calls them the light bulb effect, because they were all around the same age, so they started going one by one by one. And I can tell you briefly, I lost two in 2007, lost one in 2008, lost one in 2009, lost one in 2010, lost one in 2013, lost one in 2016, and then I lost a bird and a guinea pig, all in that. I lost one of my best friends. I lost a very, very, very dear friend of mine that was taking care of me when I first moved to New York, all in a matter of, like, let's say 7-8 years. I lost all of these things. Ooh, lightning and thunder, yay. But I lost all of these things in such a short time, and every time I lost another cat, I had another feeling of loneliness. And it was just this, like, I had a hole in my heart. And even though I had the strength to deal with it and go through it, I mean, I was doing hospice care, and I even made the decision to say, okay, you know, I looked in their eyes, I knew they wanted to give up, and so I took them to the vet, and I did not allow them to suffer. So I made the choice to let them transition. But that whole period, probably 6.5 years of the beginning of that, because it was so much, oh my gosh, I can't tell you the loneliness I felt. But it's temporary, and that's kind of what I want to, with that story, it's kind of what I wanted to convey. I still have 2 left out of the 8, and actually if you add Spike that died in 2016, I had 9, but I had 8 all in one time. But it's temporary. It's temporary. So I want to just impress that on you quick. There's a couple things that I wanted to bring up. Now, I have a list of a few things that we can do when we find ourselves in loneliness. When we find ourselves feeling alone, even though you're more likely talking about loneliness. So there's some steps. And one of the biggest steps, and this is something that I try to convey to my clients and throughout these videos, is self-reflection. It's really key. It's really important. Why are you lonely? What triggers your loneliness? You know, if you haven't had a death in the family, or a death of a loved one, or loss of a relationship, what's making you feel lonely? Is it a disconnection to yourself? So if you can't pinpoint an obvious reason, then you might need to dig a little bit deeper. And I'm really big about digging deeper. I'm so into radical responsibility, because nobody makes us lonely. We make ourselves lonely. It's a little bit of tough love there. You know, we choose to be lonely. We do. And we, like just saying, is that we choose to be angry, we choose to be hurt, we choose to be happy. It's an emotion, and because of that emotion, we have choice. So when you dig deeper, explore your emotions, explore what they're telling you. You know, is it the transitions in life? Is it maybe a friend moved away, or, you know, just what are the things? Now, there's a few questions that I wanted to kind of give you, and, you know, you can replay this and write these down, because these really help you in the reflection process of figuring out where the loneliness stems from. So the first one is what am I thinking or doing to create these lonely feelings? There's always something underneath that. There's always something neat. So you need to figure out why that's there. And here are another ones. Do you feel unlovable? Sometimes we don't think that, but if you go deeper, there's a little gremlin in that brain that's making you feel like you're unlovable. Especially if you've had a lifetime of rejection or, things that have come at you your whole life. There's a little gremlin hiding in there. So that's a good question. Do I feel unneeded and different from others? That's a good one. And that's really good for parents, especially when you have children that are going off to college. Let's say you had, one child or two children, and they finally just all flew the nest and they're in school and they're leading their lives. Are you feeling unneeded now? Is that the emotion behind this loneliness? That's a big one. Am I blaming my loneliness on what is unchangeable? Okay, so we're in situations. Some of these situations are unchangeable. I'm not a big fan of where I live. At present moment, that is unchangeable. But am I going to dwell on that? Am I going to feel lonely because I can't invite people over my house because there's no parking or anything? No, I'm not going to do that to myself because that doesn't serve me in any way. Here's another one. Am I emotionally unavailable? Are you withholding? Are you contracted? Are you hiding behind something? Or are you hiding behind fear of rejection, fear of, showing up? That's really a really great question. Am I emotionally unavailable? Because if you are emotionally unavailable, then you are creating the loneliness without even realizing it. Am I trying to connect with someone who is emotionally shut down? Some people are just shut down. So if you're trying to relate to somebody, and this happens in relationships a lot, because when you're in a relationship, one person is always going to be more emotionally available than the other. And when that happens, there's going to be that resistance, that conflict, and that rub that creates a state of loneliness because you don't feel connected. Like I said, loneliness is a feeling that stems from disconnect. Okay? That's a good one. I have these questions are so great. Am I expecting more from others than they are willing to give? Woo, big one. Huge one. Oh my goodness, this is so huge. Because our expectations sometimes are a little too much. Because, when people get disappointed, you're really not disappointed in the person. You're disappointed in your expectations of that person. Because you created this picture in your head that this person was going to be this way and this is how it should be and oh my goodness, that can cause such an issue. That can cause so much issue. Don't have your expectations. Enjoy, have the gratitude of what you are receiving without expecting anything more. Because as I've said in many videos, people are on their own path. They are on their own journey and they may have not gotten to the point you have. And you need to allow them to be at the spot that they are because that is where they are perfectly supposed to be at this moment in time. So wipe away expectations of other people because you are always going to be disappointed because our expectations are always going to supersede what reality is. So you have to allow people to be where they are and what they are. Now, last 3 questions. Is my loneliness informing me that I need to reach out and connect with people? So, I've mentioned that emotions are our guidance. Our guidance system. Yeah, it is a big one. It's a really big one. Emotions are our guidance system. They tell us that we're out of alignment. When we're sad, we are out of alignment. When we are mad, we are out of alignment. When we are angry, we're out of alignment. All of these things are being out of alignment. And loneliness is the same exact thing. It is the same exact thing. So take that. Do you need to connect with somebody? Do you need to reconnect or reach out to people because, there's something that maybe you need to do? Maybe there is something that you need to help. And I'll get to help and service and volunteering because that's a big one. And last two questions. What are the best actions I can take to overcome my fear of rejection? I mentioned before, a lot of times we are lonely because we create it, or not sometimes, all the time. We create loneliness. And why are we creating the loneliness? Are we afraid of rejection? Do we have that fear of being vulnerable? It's a good question. Good question. And the last one is the big one because I'm really big about taking action. Radical responsibility. You got the radical honesty and you got the radical responsibility. And this is, what are the constructive actions that I can take? Huge. Is it a mindset issue? Are you sitting there thinking to yourself, nobody loves me? Or are you thinking of, there's no one available. Nobody wants to spend any time with me. Are you thinking those thoughts? Because if you're thinking those thoughts and you're creating this state of loneliness, then that's why the loneliness is there. It's telling you to wait a minute, there's something wrong here. Okay, number one, nobody is unlovable. There is not one person on this planet that is unlovable because love just is. If you think they're unlovable, it's because you're afraid of something. Love is. Every single person on this planet is lovable. Remember that. And that includes you. That includes you. So, question the validity of these self-defeating thoughts. Question that. Why are you thinking that way? I'm so big into radical responsibility because this is what changes lives. This is how you can change your life, is by taking this radical responsibility. It's so awesome. So reflect. Really important. Figure it out. There's something going on. All right. The second thing, the reflect is the biggest thing. The second thing is learn to enjoy alone time. Learn to love yourself enough to be alone with yourself. Oh, it is the most freeing, most amazing feeling I can tell you. If you need a break from life, get outside. Just be with yourself and love yourself. Even if it's just a bath, a 20-minute bath or something like that, you need to enjoy your alone time. Celebrate that. Celebrate your alone time. Ooh, there's nobody around. I can do this. Yay! That type of thing. Like I said, alone is a state of being. It is not an emotion. It's a state of being. And it can be an amazing thing. I love being alone. I love being alone. Being with people is fine. But I love being alone and being with my thoughts and being with my heart and being with, it's real. I'm telling you, it's going to free you. It's going to free you if you love to learn to be alone. It's amazing. It's amazing. And the third thing, and this is a big one, especially because, we're using Facebook as a platform and social media as a platform, and it's got these wonderful qualities. But you know what? When we sit there and scroll through news feeds and see everybody having a good time and a party and oh, this person just had this amazing thing happen and whatever, that can aid in us feeling lonely. Because we look at that and oh my gosh, all these people have these wonderful lives. My life is so boring. Well, guess what? And this is the honest truth. You want radical honesty? Here it is. Yeah, you may have those few out there that are having a grand old time, but most people are only putting things on Facebook to kind of make themselves feel better. So they're not putting the bad things up. They're only putting the good things up. And everybody has good and bad things. Everybody has good. So don't let Instagram, Facebook, or any of that stuff tell you how to feel. Because it's not real. It is not real. You know, you'll have individual posts that are real, but we show the world what we want to show the world. That's what society does. When you're out in public, when you're at work, you're not the same person at work than you are at home. You know, we're beautiful diamonds, and I've said this in a video, we're beautiful diamonds with lots of different facets, and every facet of us is shown to a different person. You know, don't listen to it. Don't listen to it. Take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, people have good times. I'm not going to say they don't. I'm not saying everything is fake, because it's not. There's a lot of great things going on in my friends and in the world and stuff like that, as well as the bad things. But a lot of times, unless it's news, you're not getting the bad stuff from your friends. So don't use that as your gauge. Just don't. Don't. Now, the fourth thing is volunteer. Be of service, because you're going to feel connected to other people. You're going to that compassion when you give, and when you have a compassionate heart and you're giving to other people, you know, you're going to feel connected to other people. You can't help but not. When you take yourself out of the equation and you give to other people, that's going to go a long way in helping with loneliness. And here's the action part again. Be proactive. You know, it's easy to get stuck in the nobody cares about me. But guess what? Relationships go both ways. Okay? Just because somebody doesn't reach out to you doesn't mean they don't want to talk to you. They have their own lives. Their own busy lives. Doing their own thing. And it's not about you. It's not about you. We all have different lives. So, you know what? If you want to reach out to somebody, pick up the phone. You know, I don't like to call people, but I'll text somebody. I will reach out on Facebook. You know, make the connection yourself. Take the radical responsibility for yourself. If you want to reach out to somebody, reach out to somebody. Don't wait for them to come to you. Don't wait. Don't wait. Oh gosh, there's lots of little comments. I'm in my rant. Oh yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice, Kelly, right? It's it's we all have this radical responsibility to take care of our lives and to take care of our heart and to take care of our soul and to take care of this planet and to take care. It's a choice. It is always a choice. Always a choice. Always, always, always. Can't even stress that enough. So be proactive. Get out there. If you want to connect with people, connect with them. Just connect with them. The world's not going to come to your doorstep. It just isn't. Because we all have our own individual paths. It's just not going to happen. You know, the other thing is your relationships. What relationships do you have now? Nurture them. Nurture them. So if you have, you know, children or a spouse or a partner or, you know, a neighbor that you speak to on occasion over the fence or something like that, you know, nurture those relationships. Nurture them. Because the more you nurture that relationship, the more you're going to feel connected. And that will change. And the very last thing I want to talk about before I finish is no matter what it is, loneliness, just like the storm I have going on around me, it's temporary. It's going to pass. And if it doesn't, that's because you're not doing the work. You're not showing up and you're not doing the work necessary to move yourself out of that position. But it's going to pass. I had lightning and thunder here. I wish it was worse because I love storms, but you know, I haven't seen lightning in probably about 10 minutes. You know, it's gonna pass. It's gonna pass. The blue skies are gonna come out again, and it's all gonna be okay. It's all gonna be okay. So, you know, yeah, it is scary, Lori. I mean, it's gonna pass. Take the responsibility. Do what you need to do. It's all on you. It's all on you. If, you know, loneliness is an emotion, and emotions can change, and emotions shift when we want them to shift. And if you get stuck in that, if you get stuck in loneliness, if you get stuck in sadness, if you get stuck, then there's something going on, and you need to go back to the reflection part of this whole thing and figure out what's going on. Because guarantee, once you figure out what gremlins are going on in your head telling you, this or that you're unloved, or all this stuff, these voices, and if you haven't read The Untethered Soul or picked it up, I recommend it, because that roommate, those are the gremlins. All of these things that go on in your head that create this feeling of loneliness. And, that, I promise you, it will pass. It will pass, and you will feel better and stronger for it. So I know this has gone a little bit long, and I apologize for that. I don't know how long it is, but just remember, be radically honest with yourself and take radical responsibility. Get those gremlins in check, realign yourself, and guarantee the loneliness will go away. And maybe it'll be a little visitor once in a while, but it'll go away, because it is temporary. And know that you are all loved, and you are not a single person on this planet, again, I reiterate, is unlovable. It is just, you all are perfect the way you are. Take the responsibility you need to do for your life, and shift. And shift. It's all up to you. And I promise you, once you get that, you will be empowered, you will find strength, you will find joy, you will find compassion, you will find connectedness. It will happen. So I leave you with that. And as always, be kind to yourself. This is a good one for this particular video. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others, and walk in love. Walk in love and light. So have a wonderful evening. I hope anybody on the East Coast, if you get some big storms, that you are safe. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye tomorrow for day 29. Yay!